Hello, and welcome to livealittlehigher.com. Today we continue with our study of the mystery of marriage by Rabbi Isaac Ginsburg. Last week we spoke about the five parts of the soul and how each one of them has power in each part of our makeup, in our intellect, emotions, in our instinctive behavior, and in our connection to a higher part of ourselves. Today, we will continue with remembering the common soul root. We spoke before also how important it is in marriage to have this in mind, that in the bad moments that we have to go through, to never forget that that person that shares our life is not a mistake and it's meant to be. So, although as emerges from the above discussion, finding one's soulmate and relating to her as such is no simple matter. We know it's not so easy. There's people who search almost all their lives for their soulmate. And there are propitious times for identifying her or him and remembering her in our common soul root. So in marriage, there are good moments in which we should remember this idea of the common soul root. One comes in Rosh Hashanah, which is the first day of the year, of the Jewish year, and it's also the birthday of man. It was the day in which God created Adam, and it was also the day in which Adam and Eve were married by God, and the angels were the witnesses. It says in the Zohar that they were created as 20-year-old people. They were not little kids. They were already grown up and they were young. And this is the day in which they were created. God brought them to the Garden of Eden, which He had prepared as an extended wedding canopy. And Rosh Hashanah is thus both man's birthday and his wedding anniversary. We refer to Rosh Hashanah in our prayers as Yom HaZikaron, which commonly translates the day of remembrance, but which more literally means the day of memory. Memory is very important. When we remember, it connects us to the truth. Rabbi Zelik Pliskin says that when a couple is getting married, they should spend the most in the pictures of the wedding. Like when you're going to choose a photographer, choose the best photographer and make the most beautiful album. Why? Because the food, everybody's going to eat it. You're not going to remember the food. You're not going to remember the drinks. You're not going to. But the couple will have that album in their living room, and once in a while they're going to sit down and they're going to see it, and they're going to remember what a happy day that was. So in hard times in a marriage, it's good to remember that you did have good times. In coaching, it's taught that when a person has gone through a trauma or has gone through a very hard time in their lives, one of the questions is, do you remember when you were whole? Do you remember when you were happy? And we try to take that person back to that wholesome place where they remember how they used to be. Because if you remember how you used to be, you will be able to get there again. Okay? So Rosh Hashanah is the day in which also God judges us. But He not only judges us according to where we're standing at that moment, but He also judges us according to His way of creating us and the potential we have. And this arouses His mercy in us. It makes Hashem remember why He put us in this world and how hard it is for us to be able to maintain ourselves true to who we are with all the things that are around us. And this arouses His great mercy. Also, another day in which we should remember about our common soul root is on one's wedding anniversary. Under the wedding canopy, a couple's soul root shines in all its power and draws down blessing and divinely inspires consciousness, memory again, of their essential oneness. One's wedding anniversary is thus an auspicious time for a couple to remember their common soul root. So on your wedding anniversary, get dressed, get gorgeous, get beautiful, go out to dinner, have some drinks, and tell your husband how much you love him. Or the other way around. Send her flowers, get her a gift, and make her feel special again. Also, on one's birthday, it's also auspicious for one to remember the connection to our soul root, because on the birthday, our masal is particularly accessible to us. It says that on our Hebrew birthday, we have such power that we can even bless people and give them brachas. So it's a very powerful day. And finally, there were no more joyous days in Israel than the 15th of Av and Yom Kippur. Why? Because these were 2 days. One was on the 15th of Av, in which the girls used to, in Jerusalem, get dressed. They would get dressed in white, and they would go out to the courtyards of the Beit HaMikdash and go and dance in the fields. And they would be wearing dresses that were lent to them by other girls. Nobody was wearing their own dress. And this was so the boys, when they would see the girls, they wouldn't be mesmerized by their dress or their beauty. They would be able to see the person inside. And there was no way of knowing who was rich, who was poor, who had good taste, who had bad taste. That was irrelevant, and it was put aside, and it was the boys could look at the girls in a different level. And Yom Kippur also it was a day in which the daughters of Jerusalem also went out to look for their spouses. And these are auspicious days to do Shidduchim. Actually, this week, which is a week of Hayes Sarah, where Eliezer goes and looks for a wife for Isaac, it's also a very auspicious week to pray for your Basher, if you're not married yet. And so in order to remember, one meditates on the fact that the source of one's soul is an actual part of God above, thus realizing the great resources and potential it possesses, most of which are still untapped. It makes us realize how much more we can be, how much more we can do. Because if we are really a spark of God, then we have an infinite capacity of growth and resources. So one thereby achieves maximum awareness of his or their common task on earth and spiritual strength to choose life in the steadfast progression toward his or their goals. We realize that part of being married is part of Hashem's plan for us in this world. It's part of what He wants from us. And in day-to-day life, the memory is reflected in a couple's shared hope. So every day, what would connect you to your soul mate would be that both of you have the same goals in life. Both of you have the same aspirations. You're looking forward to the future. You want the same things for your children. You want the same home for each other. And this connects you in a very, very strong way. The Rebbe Lubavitch, he used to say that a couple doesn't need to be in the same page of the book, but they have to be in the same book, because you have to want the same things. If the husband wants to party all day and the wife wants to stay home all day, it creates a lot of animosity and bad feelings. Both of you need to find common ground, and the values that you share have to be the same. That's why in this parasha, Abraham asked Eliezer, go and look for a girl from my home, from my family, because they share the same values. They know the same, they want the same things. So this implies as well that the most important criterion for choosing one soulmate, that which most identifies, albeit indirectly, the possession of a common soul root, is do we strive in the same way to realize the same ideals. There has to be mutual affinity, and they share ideals and goals in life. The oneness in their past, present, and future is thus what defines a truly predestined but shared couple. They share a common soul root. Their past, common goals, are their future, and always in the present remember their common origin as they proceed towards their common goal. So I leave you here today I hope this has been helpful for you, and live a little higher.